everyone, as a lot of you requested, I'm going to do a breakdown and deep dive into the movie Sailor Moon S, Hearts on Ice. I'm not sure how many of you knew this, but this story was actually in the manga. For the Eternal edition of the manga, it is in volume 6. I still have my old comic book edition of this story as well, and it has the old English names for everyone in it. This story's original release was November 17th, 1994, and then this movie was released in Japan on December 4th, 1994, and later came out in the US on August 31st, 1991, and then for the UK and France in the year 2000, and more countries to follow in 2001. In 2018 in Canada and the US, they did bring this movie along with the other movies to theaters for a special screening for the new English dub. Now, to get into this movie and see how well it followed the manga, I will say this right now, the movie did not completely follow the manga. It is known as a loosely adaptation. It has the core story following Kakeru and his friend Himiko, or in the manga she's mainly referred to as Hime, and Luna falling in love with Kakeru, and the evil Snow Witch trying to take over the planet. I have some theories on why there are changes based on when the movie was initially released and the original series was released, but I'll get into that later in this video. With that, let's go ahead and talk about it. And please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button, as that does help my channel grow. Quick lesson on the Japanese tale of Princess Kaguya. Princess Kaguya is a Japanese fairy tale princess. According to legend, she was found as a baby inside a shining stalk of bamboo, and so she was given the name Nierautomata no Kaguya Hime, meaning roughly shining princess of the supple bamboo. When she came of age and refused the advance of her many suitors, she revealed that she couldn't marry because she had come from the moon and must return there. Now, to get into the movie, it starts off with our new villain, and we hear her say how she wants to make the earth all hers, and we see that something fell from space, and this new character who noticed it went to the crash site and found the crystal. Now in the manga, we see that there is someone speaking, and we can assume it is this new villain. She's talking about how lonely she has been, and that since he has taken the crystal, this new character will be this mysterious voice's companion for eternity. Now the movie intro is just cute, of Usagi and all her friends shopping together and spending time together. Eventually in this intro, we see the Outer Guardians as well in this intro. They find Usagi and the others hanging out and come to say hi. If it isn't obvious from the title and the intro, this takes place sometime during the 3rd season of the original Sailor Moon series. And in the manga, this story does come right after the end of the Infinity arc. After the opening plays out, we see the girls in the shopping district of Japan. This series does take place in a district of Tokyo. They are watching Himiko on the news talking about being the first woman to go out to space. Luna seems to be coming down with a cold, and she starts to head home because she isn't feeling well. In the manga, it opens up very differently. We see the Outer Guardians are getting ready to go out and meet with the others, and it is Minako and Makoto's birthday. Now, not really sure why they're celebrating it at the same time. Minako's birthday is in October and Makoto's is in December. But anyway, they're all together at the Crown Arcade celebrating. Apparently, Setsuna brought the wine and champagne, which I was almost concerned that she brought alcohol to minors. But in very small print of the manga, it says the rest of the girls are drinking soft drinks. Luna, Artemis, and Diana are late as well. Luna explains they were late because they were waiting on Artemis to come pick them up, and they give him a hard time about it. Now, back in the movie, Luna is walking home and she clearly is not feeling well, and she almost gets hit by a car, but someone comes and saves her, and she passes out. Now in the manga, after they gave Artemis a hard time for being late, Artemis says Luna can always come to get him, and the next day she walks to Minako's house to get Artemis, and it goes into more explanation on why she waits for Artemis. Luna was captured before by those kids in episode 1, and they put that bandage on her, so she lost her powers and was unable to communicate, and well, it happened again in this story. Some of the kids got her and put the bandage on her head again, covering up the moon crescent mark. She is feeling weak, and when she tries to cross the street, she is almost hit by the car, just like in the movie, and Kakeru saves her. In the movie, she comes to and is still not feeling well, and Kakeru takes care of her. In the manga, since it was the bandage that was bothering her, he took it off and she was back to normal. Another quick difference to mention is that they are at the office where Kakeru works instead of his home. In the manga, one of his colleagues came in and says that someone named Hime came back, but then all of a sudden we see Kakeru is in pain. They're talking about how Hime is working to be an astronaut for the next space mission. Also, her full name is Himiko, like I stated earlier. Now, those of you that were fans of the English dub in the 90s may have noticed this is one of the few times where they left their names alone. Now, in the manga, we also see some of his colleagues talking about him. He had so much potential, and he was supposed to be an astronaut as well, but they don't understand why that didn't happen for him. Also, they call him a space geek with his talks about the moon and Princess Kaguya. Kakeru Kakeru gets called into a meeting and they are discussing that the comet he discovered and called Princess Snow Kaguya is on a collision course with Earth. It is just as big as the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. So Luna runs home to tell the others about this comet. Now this seems to be the same comet that the Outer Guardians brought up at the party, and so they call the Outer Guardians. Michiru confirms that the comet disappeared. The light grew dim and then vanished. Now in the movie, the next scene is Usagi and the others concerned because they haven't seen Luna. She never came home. They're giving Usagi a hard time, like the good old classic series. They're asking if it was her fault that Luna ran away. Usagi of course denies it. Luna is still at Kakeru's house and he is feeding her food, and Himiko comes over. Kakeru explains that he saw a new comet and named it Princess Snow Kaguya, just like in the manga. But the difference here is Himiko doesn't know anything about this comet. NASA hasn't said anything about this comet, and he shows her the crystal he found. Himiko is giving Kakeru a hard time, saying that he fantasizes space a little too much. And in the manga, it is very different. In the manga, it's the other colleagues of his that do this, and she wants him to stand up for himself. But he doesn't. He says every time he looks at the moon, he feels energy from it. And even in the movie, she talks about how he was supposed to be an astronaut as well. Then we see the crystal glow, and it looks like Kakeru is in pain. He asks Himiko to leave. She's upset because she took a week off of work to spend time with him. Then we see him try to play the guessing game of Luna's name. Also, as a cat owner, now I question this. Why does he feed the cat candy? Whatever. In the manga, Luna comes back another day and gives Kakeru back his handkerchief that he had wrapped around Luna's paw. And this is when he starts to play the guessing game of her name. In the manga, she pulls out a book to help him figure out her name. And he shows Luna that same crystal we saw in the movie. Then we see Kakeru give Luna a ribbon and asks her to come visit him again. In the movie, we see Luna is now sitting outside wondering if she's falling in love with Kakeru. Then we see this new enemy summon her snow dancers to freeze the planet. The girls split up to go look for Luna. Then all of a sudden, the snow dancers appear and begin to freeze everyone and everything in sight. Then we see the inner guardians transform. Then we see the outer guardians who are trying to enjoy their tea, but they are attacked by the snow dancers as well, and they transform. Also, the background music for the outer guardians has been my ringtone for years now. I never get tired of it. But we see the outer guardians first fight the snow dancers, and it's pretty easy defeat. Uranus uses her world shaking to take it out quickly. Then back to the inner guardians, we see them fight the other snow dancer. Jupiter and Venus do some damage thinking that they defeated it, but then it tries to play a trick and attack them. But Mercury and Mars do the final blow. Although I feel like Mars alone, using fire, should have been able to take it out. Then back to Usagi and Chibiusa. They trick the snow dancer with the oldest trick in the book and make her look a different direction while they run away to transform into Sailor Moon and Sailor Chibi Moon. The snow dancer starts to do tricks on them as well, and they're duplicates of her dancing around the girls. And Sailor Moon tries to find the real one and fails. But good old Tuxedo Mask with his steel rose stops the surprise attack. With Tuxedo Mask causing a distraction, Sailor Moon is able to use her staff and uses her Moon Spiral Heart attack to take out the snow dancer. We then see the snow dancers come to report back to their master. They have yet to find the crystal. She needs it to freeze the entire world. Turns out this is her second time trying to freeze the planet and make it hers. She was forced back by a light. We see the Guardians are now all together discussing this new enemy and how they have no information on them, but they need to stay on high alert. But then Luna comes back. They finally found her, and Usagi cries over her and notices the ribbon she got from Kakeru. Now in the manga, this fight that we just watched didn't happen at all. Luna had already returned, as I said earlier, and the closest fight they had in the manga was the comet that was coming straight to Earth. But in the movie, Luna now shares with them that a comet is coming, but Amy shares the next day that she couldn't find anything on this comet. Now in both the manga and this movie, Luna is eating more of those candies and borrowing books from Ami. In the movie, it is medical books, but in the manga, she's actually reading the tale of Princess Kaguya, a Japanese classic tale. Now in the manga and the movie, she does continue to pay visits to Kakeru, and she even comes across Usagi and Mamoru hanging out, and she sees them kissing. Later that night, Luna asks about the smell coming from Usagi, and it is the potpourri that Usagi wears. And Luna asks Usagi about what her and Mamoru usually talk about. She then asks about what a kiss tastes like. This is one of the few parts that is pretty accurate to the manga. In the movie and the manga, Luna does go back to visit Kakeru, but in the movie, Kakeru is in bed sick, while in the manga, he is still researching and working hard. In the manga, we see Hime has come to visit him as well. She explains that sadly she didn't make the cut to go on the space mission. They told her a woman is better off getting married, but she will not give up, and she lashes out at Kakeru because he gave up on going to space. Later though, we see Kakeru is in pain, and we see all the medicine that he has on the table. Luna and Kakeru end up staying up all night, and finally Kakeru goes to bed. And just like in the movie, he falls asleep and Luna goes in and kisses Kakeru. Now this next part I laughed at how ridiculous it was. In the manga, Kakeru flies to Kennedy Space Center, and we see Luna is on the freaking wing of the plane going too. She may be able to talk, but last I checked, I don't think she has the ability to survive flying on the side of a plane. So she is now in America with Kakeru. His logic is that Luna's owner must be working in acid too, and that is why Luna is there. Okay, sure, let's go with that logic. Makes sense. Kakeru starts to feel pain and collapses. Himiko finds him and they get him to the hospital. The doctor says he has an enlarged heart and he has an arrhythmia that is inoperable. The doctors say he never stood a chance at being an astronaut. So Himiko and Kakeru fly back to Japan. Now at this point, in both the manga and the movie, the girls are together talking about how Luna has fallen in love. Artemis is sad and worried. Now one difference in the manga and the movie, Setsuna, Michiru, and Haruka are with the girls talking about Luna. In the movie, it is just the inner guardians. The outer guardians we do see in the movie talking about the new enemy at some random diner at the same time the girls are talking about Luna. Now if you're familiar with my videos, I brought this up in season 3 of Crystal's breakdown video, which I'll link below if you want to watch it, and it'll be at the end of this video. I think in the manga deep down, the outer guardians wanted to be friends, but kept their distance because they failed their mission, and it was their mess that they had to clean up in season 3. But in the 90s series, they just did not have faith in the inner guardians to do the job that needs to be done. At least that is how I'm interpreting the differences between the manga and this movie. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments. Now in the movie, we see the snow dancers are busy creating something in the ocean, and whatever it is, it's rising. Then we see Luna go to visit Kakeru, and Usagi follows her. Kakeru is still in bed sick. Himiko comes to visit Kakeru, and she's about to leave to go up to space. She asks him when she comes back, could she come and stay with him, and he tells her to give it up. They live in two very different worlds, and they don't see eye to eye. He's trying to break it off with her, and you could tell he doesn't want to, especially when you see him cry. Then we see Usagi and Luna talk about Kakeru. Luna is aware that she loves Kakeru, but he is meant to be with Himiko, and she wishes she could transform into a human. And it's a sad moment that gets ruined because the snow dancers appear, and in his room we see this new villain appear. Usagi tries to get in the room, but it's frozen shut. This woman explains the crystal got stronger by absorbing Kakeru's life energy. She explains that her comet is still coming for the Earth. Now back in the manga, the crystal has grown and it is beginning to shape like a human figure, and then Kakeru's heart starts to bother him and he goes back to the hospital. Then we see while Kakeru is in the hospital bed, a figure appears through the window. She calls herself Snow Kaguya. He thinks of her as an angel to take him away. When Luna comes to visit, she sees this mysterious figure and runs back home to get Usagi. Usagi comes to the hospital and transforms and fights off this villain. Himiko comes in to see what is going on, and Sailor Moon introduces herself to Himiko and explains that Kakeru was attacked. Himiko explains to Sailor Moon about the crystal. Luna reveals that she could talk to Himiko as well, and explains that Kakeru was under attack by an invader. Now in the movie, since she has her crystal, this invader throws it into the ocean, and this glacier begins to grow. Then we see Artemis explain to the inner guardians there is an old story. There was once a similar power that tried to freeze the planet long ago, but the power of love and friendship, known as the silver crystal power, melted the ice and saved the earth. So they have to stop this evil crystal and save the earth. And Haruka and Setsuna use Michiru's mirror to teleport themselves to where the comet disappeared. Turns out this villain made the guardians think she disappeared, and they begin to fight this invader. Sadly though, this new villain is too much for the outer guardians and she forces them back through Neptune's mirror, and the inner guardians come to the outer guardians' aid. Also, we see that Himiko is now chosen to go up into space on this space mission. They need a bigger crew, so she was chosen to go up into space. When she comes to check on Kakeru, he doesn't think he has much time to live. Himiko tells him that when she gets back, she's going to stay with him. He is the one that encouraged her not to give up, and she encourages him now to do the same, not to give up. One day, the two of them will go up into space once his heart is better. He asks her, do you really think I can go into space? And she says, I know you can. I'll take you there, and then they kiss. This is so much better than what we saw in the movie. We still see Luna is heartbroken by this, and she finds Artemis, and is so cute. He is trying to make her feel better. Even though he knows she likes someone else, he's still trying, and it's cute. Turns out though, the space mission Himiko is going on, they plan on launching a nuke at the comet heading for Earth, but that will cause more damage to the planet. Now back in the movie, Usagi and Luna try to warn Himiko not to go out into space. They're trying to tell her that there is a comet heading for Earth and an evil ice switch is on it. Now, since in the movie Himiko already stated that NASA hasn't said anything about this comet, she doesn't believe Usagi. Himiko doesn't believe her and gets into the cab. Now in the manga, Sailor Moon comes and talks to Himiko. The conversation is a bit different since Himiko's mission is different. She's being sent up into space to destroy the comet. Sailor Moon tells Himiko that Princess Snow Kaguya is a powerful enemy, but her and the rest of the Guardians will take care of her. And we see the rest of the Guardians in the background. She tells Himiko they are going to destroy the comet, so Himiko can go on her voyage to the moon just like the original plan. And then they go their separate separate ways. Now in the movie, Luna thinks that if she transforms into a human and turns into the princess he needs, maybe it will give him the strength to fight this evil. The Guardians have figured out where the enemy base is, and she continues to freeze the planet. And then we see the Outer Guardians have appeared to fight first. Like I said previously, this happened very differently in the manga. This fight with the Outer Guardians and the Snow Dancers does not happen at all in the manga. Now for movie purposes, it is cool watching them fight. This Ice Witch continues to send more and more of her Snow Dancers to fight the Outer Guardians, but no matter how many they take out, they just keep coming. Then we see the Inner Guardians come and help the Outer Guardians fight off these Snow Dancers. Like I said, none of this happens in the fight in the manga, but for movie purposes, it's very entertaining to watch them fight all together. Kakeru goes out into the blizzard to try to stop Himiko from going out into space, because he knows that the Snow Princess will freeze the Earth, and Luna goes after him. Then back to the Guardians, they're slowly being outnumbered and outmatched and are losing this fight. One by one, each of the Guardians go down, and before the Ice Witch attacks, Sailor Moon stops her. This Ice Witch offers eternal slumber where they can live in their dreams, and Sailor Moon of course denies this offer. Sailor Moon uses the chalice to transform into Super Sailor Moon, and then fights the Ice Witch. The Ice Witch overpowers Super Sailor Moon though, but Sailor Moon will not give up and brings out her silver crystal. Venus warns her that if she uses the silver crystal, she will die, and the other Guardians get up. They will not let this happen. They combine their power with Sailor Moon. The Ice Witch is also charging up her attack as well. Now that they've combined their powers, even the Snow Dancers can't attack the other Guardians. The Ice Witch lets off her attack, and Sailor Moon and the others unleash their attack. Sailor Moon and the others defeat the Ice Witch and destroy her comet as well, heading for Earth. Now to get into the battle in the manga, it is very, very different. The Ice Witch takes Kakeru from the hospital, but Usagi and the others appear to stop her. All of the Guardians are already together and they transform. This Ice Witch explains that 4.5 billion years ago, she was meant to reign over this star system, but the solar system branded her as a heretic and casted her out. Sailor Moon orders Neptune to take Kakeru back to the hospital, so Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto do that. Now the Ice Witch actually does freeze the Guardians, and we see each of them falling into a slumber and what they dream about. For example, Mars dreams about her parents being there with her, but Koto dreams about a boy she fell in love with, and we see Usagi and Mamoru together. After the Outer Guardians got Kakeru back to the hospital, they rush back to fight and free the Inner Guardians. Then the blizzard clears up, and they look up to find Snow Kaguya. Now in the manga, in order for Sailor Moon to transform into Super Sailor Moon, the Guardians have to combine their hearts in order to summon the chalice, and they do just that, and Sailor Moon transforms into Super Sailor Moon. Then the girls fly to space. Once they get to space, Sailor Moon uses her staff and defeats Snow Kaguya and destroys the comet, keeping her word to Himiko. Now that the comet is gone, NASA removes the nuke, and they can go back to their original mission to the moon. The Guardians come back to Earth to find Tuxedo Mask and Chibi Moon at the hospital where Kakeru and Luna are. Chibi Moon asks Super Sailor Moon to use the chalice and the crystal to turn Luna human. This is their Christmas present to her. Now in the movie, Sailor Moon asks the crystal to turn Luna into a human girl for one night, and we see Luna transform into her human form. Now this is the first time we've seen her transform into her human form. If you read the manga, she's transformed a couple times into this form. Kakeru wakes up and sees Luna in her human form. Luna says her name is Princess Kaguya, and the two of them fly off into space, and Kakeru notices the ribbon that Luna is wearing. We also see Himiko in space, and she sees what she thinks is the princess fly right in front of her, and realizes Kakeru was right. Luna tells Kakeru he needs to continue to live for the person who he truly loves. She does kiss him and says that she cannot stay by his side, but she does love him. The manga plays out pretty much the same for this moment, just the difference is in the manga, Kakeru is still in the hospital when he comes to and not outside in the snow. A nice difference as well in the manga is while Himiko is in space, she's almost to the moon, and she says next time we'll all go. While she puts her hands over her stomach, she says all three of us. Let's go to the moon, Kakeru. So stinking cute. She is pregnant. In the movie, he's just waiting for her when she comes back to the airport, and they have a cute little reunion. Now this last part, the places are a bit different in the manga and the movie, but either way, Artemis is waiting for Luna and greets her. The cute thing though is in the manga, he's waiting in the snow, and he's covered in snow. While we just saw in the movie, he greeted her at the airport. It's cute seeing them together. In the manga, it is now Christmas, and it is time for their Christmas party. And that wraps up the story of Hearts on Ice. What did you guys think of these differences? I honestly wouldn't mind if they redid this movie to follow more of the manga, but at the same time, I'm okay if they left it alone. I'm honestly not sure how well the movie would do if they followed the manga. Naturally, they would need to extend the fight scenes, like they did in the movie. If it wasn't for the fact that each of the Guardians were fighting the Snow Dancers, it would be a very short movie. I will be honest, I think it is also more of the fact that I want to see a remake more to see all of the Guardians together. The 90s version, they were still pretty distant from each other, which, like I stated before, the 90s series relationship between all of the Guardians was different from the manga. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I have more videos in the work that I have in mind that I want to do, but it will take some time to create. So I appreciate everyone's patience, as well as your patience waiting for this video. I came down with a severe cold during the holidays, so that took me out longer than I expected. I have a link in my description to my Discord server if you would like to join that as well. Thank you again everyone for your support. Remember to hit that like button and the subscribe button to help me out to continue to grow my channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.